When you pay with cash, not because you had to, but because you chose to, most of us don't even remember. We touch, we swipe, we scan. Money has become invisible, just numbers moving between screens. But what happens when those screens go dark? Welcome back to Urban Collapse Lab. In our last episode, we examined the 6-hour water countdown in your building. Today, we'll delve deeper into a subject that holds a significant place in every transaction, every purchase, every exchange of value in modern life: the payment system. Here's what most people don't understand. When payment systems collapse, the obvious problem is that you can't buy anything. But the real crisis is a far more fundamental problem. There isn't enough cash, not in your wallet, not in ATMs, not in the entire economy. The math simply doesn't add up. By the end of this video, you'll fully understand why your cash-only backup plan is a fatal flaw.
Let's start with something nobody ever explains. When you swipe your card at a coffee shop, you're not transferring money. You're sending a message, a request. This request goes through a chain of systems that most people don't even think about. Here's the actual transaction path. Your card reader connects to the store's payment terminal. This terminal communicates with a payment processor over the internet. The processor sends a query to your bank. Your bank checks your balance, blocks the money, and sends confirmation through the same chain. Total time, 2 to 3 seconds. 14 different systems are touched. Here's the point most people miss. Every link in this chain needs electricity and internet. The point-of-sale terminal, the store's router, the payment processor's servers, your bank's data center, fiber optic networks connecting them. If there's even a single error anywhere in this chain, the transaction won't be completed. But things get even more complicated. Modern payment systems aren't just dependent on electricity and the internet, they're interdependent. Visa and MasterCard process approximately 65,000 transactions per second worldwide. This isn't just scaling, it's also synchronization. Millions of transactions occur simultaneously, all verified with real-time balances. When these systems go offline, they don't just fail, they don't go into backup mode, they just stop. And the moment they stop, every store, every gas station, every pharmacy instantly starts accepting only cash payments.
Now, let me show you that the use cash-only approach isn't as effective a solution as people think. Let's do the math. The total physical currency in circulation in the US is approximately $2.3 trillion. Sounds like a lot, but here's the catch. Most of that money isn't in the United States. The Federal Reserve estimates that 60 to 70% of all U.S. money is held abroad. $100 bills are stored in vaults in other countries as a stable foreign exchange reserve. So how much cash is actually circulating within the U.S.? Approximately $700 to $900 billion. For 330 million people. Now let's look at daily transactions. Americans conduct approximately $100 billion worth of retail transactions every day. Credit cards, debit cards, digital wallets. This is normal commerce, not luxury spending, just everyday life. Grocery shopping, gasoline, medicine, coffee. $100 billion in daily transactions. A total of $800 billion in cash is available.
And this cash isn't distributed equally. Much of it is locked away in bank vaults, not in safes or wallets. The actual amount of cash in vaults, ATMs, and people's pockets, estimates range from $50 billion to $100 billion nationwide. Here's the crucial ratio. Daily transaction volume exceeds the amount of accessible cash by 20 to 40 times. Even if every store only accepted cash, even if everyone had cash, there wouldn't be enough paper money to sustain a normal day's trading. And it gets worse. When payment networks collapse, the demand for cash surges instantly. ATMs empty within hours, not because the bank is running out of money, but because ATMs hold a limited amount of physical cash. A typical ATM holds $10,000 to $50,000. A busy ATM serves 200 to 300 customers a day. In a payment crisis, that ATM empties within 2 hours. But the cash problem is only the consumer side. Let's look at what's happening behind the scenes. When payment networks collapse, stores cannot replenish their stocks. Here's why. Modern supply chains operate on the principle of just-in-time delivery. Supermarkets don't have warehouses full of food. They have 3-day stocks on the shelves, and these stocks are replenished by trucks that arrive several times a week. These trucks don't move for free. Fuel needs to be paid for. Drivers need to be paid. Distribution centers need to issue invoices and receive payment to release inventory.
In the event of a payment freeze, the timeline is as follows. From 0 to 6 o'clock, stores switch to cash payments only. ATMs are also not accepted. Queues form. Most stores still have stock. Between 6 and 12 o'clock, ATMs in high-traffic areas are empty. Stores are starting to run out of cash to give change. Some stores are closing because they can't process transactions. Between 12 and 24 o'clock, the remaining stores face a choice: refuse sales or they accept promissory notes and informal credit. Most corporate chains have policies against this. They simply close. 24 to 48 hours. Products are running low because new products are not being placed on the shelves. Fresh produce, milk, bread, everything is gone. Pharmacies are starting to run out of commonly used medicines. 48 to 72 hours. The supply chain is virtually frozen. Trucks aren't moving because gas stations can't process payments. Distribution centers aren't delivering stock because they can't verify payments. And here's the critical point. This isn't about whether people have money or not. You could have $50,000 in your bank account. It doesn't matter. If the system that verifies and transfers the money doesn't work, the balance will just be a number on the screen. Let me debunk the most common assumption. I keep cash at home. I'm prepared. Here's the reality. First, how much cash? The average American family has about $47 in cash on hand. Some hoard more. But let's be generous. Let's say you have $500. That's impressive by today's standards. But $500 during a payment crisis isn't the same as $500 in normal times. When cash becomes the only payment method, prices don't stay the same. A basic economic principle. When the supply of payment methods decreases and demand increases, vendors can charge higher prices. In past payment shutdowns, gas stations charged $10, $15, $20 per gallon by only accepting cash payments. Second, small bills are more important than you think. Try paying for a $12 purchase with a $100 bill when the cashier doesn't give change.
Your cash is only as useful as your ability to transact with it.
Third, and this surprises people, if critical services don't sell you anything, your cash reserves are meaningless. Hospitals don't accept cash in the emergency room. Pharmacies can't manually verify your prescription insurance. A credit card isn't just a payment method, it's also a layer of verification. Cash is necessary, but there isn't enough cash. Let me tell you about a bottleneck nobody talks about. Gas stations. Every gas pump at a modern gas station is electrically powered. Underground tanks are full. Thousands of gallons of fuel are right under your feet. But without electricity, the pumps can't dispense fuel. Without grid connection, the payment terminals don't work. If payment isn't made, most station policies prohibit manual fuel dispensing. In the case of payment freezes, the gas becomes unavailable within 6 to 12 hours. Not because there's no gas, but because there's no way to buy it. Now, let's expand on that logic. Delivery trucks run on diesel fuel. They need to refuel every 400 to 600 miles. If they can't get fuel, they can't deliver groceries, medicine, water, or anything else. Emergency services face the same problem. Police cars, ambulances, fire trucks, they all need fuel. Municipal vehicle fleets often have dedicated fuel depots with manual fuel dispensing capabilities. But what about private ambulance services? Uber healthcare transportation, food delivery to homes. They all depend on commercial gas stations. A gas station isn't just where you fill up your tank. It's literally the fuel for the entire logistics system. When it stops, everything after it stops. Here are the numbers. Daily U.S. retail transactions, $100 billion. Total accessible cash in the U.S., $50 to $100 billion. Ratio of digital to physical transactions, 40 to 1. ATM cash capacity, $10,000 to $50,000 each. Time for ATMs to run out of cash during a crisis, 2 to 4 hours. Supermarket stock before replenishment, 3 days. Pharmacy stock of common medicines, 2 to 7 days. Gas station operating time without payment, 6 to 12 hours. Supply chain freeze time, 48 to 72 hours. Your money isn't the problem. The system that moves your money is the problem. 3 things you can do today. Practical, legal. It takes less than an hour in total. First, a cash reserve. Keep small bills of $200 to $500 at home. Keep them safe at home, not in your wallet. 20s and 10s, not hundreds. This is your 72-hour buffer, not your life savings. Replace it if you use it. Forget about its existence until you need it. Second, get to know your local pharmacies. If you take regular medication, ask your pharmacist what happens if their payment systems collapse. Can they dispense emergency supplies? What are their policies? Most pharmacies have emergency medication dispensing protocols, but you need to know them before you need them. Some essential medications, insulin, blood pressure medication, seizure medication, require prior knowledge of backup options. A 5-minute conversation now could prevent a crisis later. Thirdly, the fuel buffer. Never let your tank drop below half full. This isn't about hoarding, it's about buffering. In the event of a payment crisis, you want to have 150 to 200 miles of range without needing to refuel. That's enough to get somewhere else if local systems fail. For even more resilience, keep a 5-gallon can of petrol filled and treated with stabilizer in your garage. It's legal, practical, and extends your options by another 100 miles.
Now, you get it. The payment system isn't just about convenience, it's about infrastructure. And like all infrastructure, it has its dependencies. Electricity, internet, synchronized global networks processing 65,000 transactions per second. The 41-to-1 ratio between digital and physical money means the use cash only option isn't a backup plan. It's a short-term bridge, measured in hours, not days. In our next episode, we're moving vertically. What happens if you live on a floor higher than the 10th floor and the power goes out? The elevators stop, the water pressure drops, and carrying supplies up and down the stairs becomes a brutal calorie math that most people never calculate. Before you go, leave a comment. When was the last time you checked how much cash you had at home? And did this video change your thinking on that? This is the Urban Collapse Lab. Systems collapse, information doesn't.